Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pixelists. The world is not ending. Let me just start off with that. May have been a bit of a clickbaity thumbnail, but Critical Role's not ending anytime soon. And I just
I got
wanted
my
to I wanted
sword.
to get my Blake's got a sword. Everybody chill.
It's my D&D sword for D&D moments.
Okay.
I'm ready. Ready. You gifted me this
I did.
for my birthday.
It's an initiative tracker.
It is an
We
initiative tracker, which I have to apologize. I didn't use it. I didn't use it last night for combat. Though
give it back.
my party said, "Where's
Give
the
it back.
initiative tracker?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot." I totally hijacked your intro, by the way, as is the norm.
He just wanted to play with his sword, like we get it.
Well, I had it in my hand, and then all of a sudden I thought the longer I go without addressing it, the weirder it becomes. But then I also into the explanation, I was like, why did I choose to hold this anyway? So it just is what it is. As you were saying,
Don't know
though,
what to do with my hands.
Yeah, the world is not ending.
Yeah, the world's
correct?
not ending. As you may or may not have seen, there is this Wired interview about Critical Role that got put out. I think it was yesterday, might have been 2 days ago.
It was yesterday morning.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Let's see.
And there were a couple quotes in this interview that have, the level-minded fan base of Critical Role acting appropriately. Just kidding. People are freaking out about a couple of quotes in this article, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to jump on a video and kind of dissuage. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Dissuage. Okay.
Yeah.
Like-
Dissuade.
Just
Yeah.
like alleviate.
Yeah.
Put out the fire.
Are you saying assuage and dissuade together? Let's figure out if this is a word.
Assuage. What's that mean?
Dissuade is the word. Persuade someone not to take a particular course of action. So we want to dissuade you guys from panicking.
That's not what I was trying to say, but maybe that's I've been mixed up my whole life and I thought I was saying something else. Is there no anti version of assuage? Dissuage.
I don't know.
Oh,
Is there
no.
an opposites button on this thing? Who knows? You can just make up words
No, I guess I'm meaning to just say assuage your fears, because that means to make less severe.
Yeah.
So I made up a word, but now I'm glad we could tackle that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to assuage some fears, I figured we could hop on, kind of talk about the article, but this was also a good excuse to talk about the future of Critical Role, which is something,
Right.
if you've been following us and following our coverage of Campaign 3, something we've talked about a lot due to events that are currently happening in Campaign 3. And for the purposes of this video, we're not going to talk about any spoilers in Campaign 3. But yeah, I just figured this was a good excuse to get into it. So
yeah, we won't talk about spoilers, but I think in general, we will say that there are events happening in Campaign 3 that out of game give a great story reason to move away from Wizards of the Coast systems.
right.
Or rather like the typical Wizards of the Coast D&D 5e as we know it, and for Critical Role to do their own branded thing. Which I don't think is very spoilery to say that. But that has created this conversation. We've had this conversation before, but now, especially with this article, it's kind of back into the limelight of what's happening next with Critical Role. So
100%. So yeah, so I guess first and foremost, let's just quickly touch on the parts of this article that were having people freak out. And I think it's specifically 3 quotes from, I'm trying to find it exactly so I don't butcher it. But one of them was essentially Marisha being like, we're starting to get old. And and then I think Matt talks about wanting to pass the torch on to someone deserving. And finally, Laura Bailey says something about when the sun sets on our careers, I want this to have a life after us. So I think in conjunction, all 3 of those got people thinking about, even if it's not tomorrow, but just thinking about the day when these people step away or step down. And then some people are freaking out thinking Campaign 3 is the last campaign. I think it's kind of ridiculous to jump to that conclusion. But I think it's quite normal for them, especially in an interview setting when they're talking about the future of their company and their legacy, to talk about those inevitable steps on the path of, one day they are going to probably have to hand it off to somebody else. One day Matt is not going to be the one in the GM chair. And I think they've already started facilitating that even already, with stuff like EXU and Abria and Brennan.
Mm.
So I think them talking this way in this interview is nothing new, nothing to be worried about in terms of campaign 3 is the last campaign with the normal cast. I think that's I think they're still talking about in the future, but the stuff they're talking about, they're already laying the groundwork for. So I guess I'm kind of rambling, but to me, this is all par for the course. Nothing in this interview stood out to me as like, oh, this is new. This is a new sign of what's to come. So for my money, I still think we're probably a ways away from any drastic changes like people are worried about. But how did you parse this?
Well, Will asked me yesterday, hey, do you think you could be available soon to put out a video for Critical Role? And I was like, yeah, well, what? I haven't watched the latest episode, so like what on it exactly? And he was like, this article. And I was like, oh yeah, I read that article. And he's like, yeah, for people who are kind of upset about it. And just be honest, guys, my immediate reaction was, well, what are people upset about? And by the way, if you have been upset, I don't want to alienate you or reduce your apprehensions, but I will say, when I read this all feels like standard marketing to me. Critical Role is a massive brand. This Wired article was not announcing anything. For those of you who thought like this was the pre-announcement to the announcement, this is a standard marketing publication. Wired is a major publication studio, and they don't always cover nerd stuff. And so for Critical Role to be covered here is a major plus for Critical Role, and that's essentially what this is, right? But going back to the comments on the longevity of this current team, and I think most of us know this, but any good company, which Critical Role is a company, it's a corporation now. Any good company is thinking about how does this exist without us, the founders. It's just a normal thing. It's just normal. So this kind of language doesn't make me panicked. I will say, however, that I'm comfortable in the near future with seeing extra faces become more regular, in that whenever EXU came out last year or 2 summers ago, I guess.
Yeah.
We had this conversation on, are they normalizing other people? And we said, yeah, I mean, this can't go on forever. And we know the latest chapter of Candela Obscura has a different DM who's on Critical Role staff. We know it has a couple other people that aren't normal actors for the CR team, or our typical campaign people. So if campaign 3 went another year and a half, I could see campaign 4 being not the normal crew. That's not to say they're never going to play again together. I just think they're treating it like a major. We're a publication studio now. We have all these other arms. Our team is getting involved. I mean, like, Ashley Johnson runs the entire foundation, and so since they're creating, and sorry, I'm being so long-winded, by the way, but like as this thing's developing into like a major brand, like Marvel almost, I could just see the individual members becoming busier with different elements. And all that to say, I just would not be surprised if one of these people not moved on, but diverted their attention to another project. And if we got a campaign with different cast members, I would not be surprised. And as much as that hurts to see like our cozy friends change what they're doing, I think it's just normal. But I don't think this article was announcing that's happening for people who were to assuage people who were apprehensive. I don't think this is what this is saying.
Yeah. And I want to touch on a couple of things you said there. Um, First and foremost, you touched on it, but I do want to say that anybody that was sad or freaking out, like that's it. I don't think that's happening yet. So for that reason, I don't think there's any reason to freak out. I totally understand being sad at this idea because I am too.
Sure. Yeah.
I think everyone feels that way. Like, you have this great thing and you don't want it
Yeah.
to ever end.
Right.
So don't get me wrong. Like, not that anyone thought this, but I didn't want anybody to think we were coming at people who were upset at the idea of this, because of course nobody like is excited for that. I mean, maybe there are some people that are like, get Matt out of there. He's ruining it. But I doubt it. So just wanted to make that clear. Obviously that is going to be a sad day when it comes, maybe like one of those, bittersweet. That's the word I was looking for. But the other thing I wanted to touch on is I don't think anything drastic's going to happen for campaign 4. I know you mentioned that like you wouldn't be surprised if some of that started to happen. And I will say that that's not to say that I don't think there could be some magic mixed in campaign 4. I think there definitely will be, similar to how they've done in campaign 3 with, Robbie being in the show from episode 1 and having at the time the
like
longest
15 or
guest
16 or
arc
so.
ever. Yeah.
Right.
So I think there absolutely will be, maybe there'll be a new face in campaign 4, or, I think there will be changes in campaign 4 for sure. But I do think it won't be the campaign where some of these big changes happen. And I think that because, one, even though they've been doing this for almost a decade at this point, I still think they've got some gas in the tank to keep going. But especially because I think campaign 4 will be the launch of Daggerheart, their baby, their TTRPG, their step away from D&D 5e, step away from Wizards of the Coast. And I think they're going to want to do everything possible to like make that successful, and make that like a really big moment. And so I think it's going to be Matt still DMing to showcase his baby that he's helped create. And I think it'll be the entire cast trying to, not only like it'd be in their own best interest for it to be them. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think that's a great insight. I didn't think about that. 100%. I mean, this is the #1 channel on Twitch. So, naturally thinking about from the pure marketing standpoint. And this is also like kind of a side conversation that I get a little tired of, is like people, I joked about them being like a corporation. However, I think, frankly, I trust the Critical Role team to value their people, value their customers, despite me using that label. But like kind of this other conversation of people like, they're just, they've just become money hungry. They're just chasing dollars. Like, they just want to like, they don't want to stick around with like their bread and butter. They want to go. And I get a little annoyed at it because I'm just like, these people have created something massive. They've monetized something that was their passion, and every single one of us would want the same thing for ourselves. So getting back to what you said, I think that makes brilliant sense that they would do that for campaign 4, and I wouldn't fault them for it either. Going all in on that to sell Daggerheart, essentially, which who knows if they even would. Who knows if it would be like an open license kind of thing, similar to what 5e was. I don't know, but
I'm sure it would be. I mean, obviously, not to get into like, there's probably a whole discussion there on like the legality and the implications, but for a very general statement, I would imagine that they're going to have an open license.
I think it's because I'm pretty sure game rules cannot be copyrighted. Is if we put on back our OGL hat, I think this was the conversation we had back when we were covering that content, was how their new OGL wasn't going to stand up in court. So I guess they wouldn't be selling Daggerheart, but maybe selling campaign settings, modules, starter guides. I mean, heck, dude, if they have an OGL for it, I mean, I think you and I are creating creating. I think that'd be really fun, like to create something and then play it with like some of you guys, like some of our YouTube viewers. Like that could be really fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
no, I agree, and I think that
sorry, I don't mean to hijack it.
I feel like 99% that's definitely what's happening. Like I would be so surprised if there was like if they had chains all around this thing. Like I highly doubt that. Like they want this to be an alternative to 5e, I'm pretty sure. So I think they're going to want it to proliferate out as much as possible and want people to use it and play it.
Which by the way, if you're Wizards, how bad did you mess up now in hindsight? I mean, months removed from this whole thing.
They did totally. And I think that obviously had an impact on this, but I think this is definitely something that was in the works far before this OGL mishap, you know?
Yeah, I agree, but I also I think there was some dialogue around like even publishing in the past under Wizards of the Coast, and not specific to Critical Role and them, but Wizards of the Coast being a bit difficult to work with and being a bit heavy-handed with royalties or, you know, portions of profits. So yeah. I would say, I think you're right that it wasn't the OGL that spurned this on. I think you're right. It's been in the books or been in the works for a long time. However, I personally, speaking for myself, I do feel like Wizards as a mega corporation owned by Hasbro probably did not, you know, tantalize CR to stick around as well as they probably could have. But this is total like conjecture, by the way, guys. Yeah. What do I know? But anyway, I keep interrupting you though. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. So to circle back here to the future of Critical Role, I don't think we're going to be, you know, sunlighting. Is that the phrase? I won't get us. Yeah. I don't think we're going to be like, you know, watching Matt or any of the main cast members set off into the sunset anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially not for campaign 4, because like I said, I think with they haven't announced this or anything, but presumably campaign 4 is going to be in Daggerheart. So especially with that, I think it'll still be the All-Stars, if you will. But again, that doesn't mean that we couldn't have maybe a few new faces, or maybe just like Travis wasn't really here at the start for campaign 3. Maybe a couple of the main faces aren't there at the start and there's some guests, but I do think I don't think there's any chance that for campaign 4, any of the main people are just completely out and not in it at all. Like I would be very, very surprised. Now come campaign 5, which could be 5 years from now. Like it's a ways away from campaign 5. I could see that maybe being the first testing out of some like different stuff. Like now I'm not saying that Matt won't DM it. I'm not saying that the main cast won't be there, but that would be my like first guess for a really testing the waters with something kind of different. Now aside from that, like we've already mentioned, they're already doing a lot of different stuff and testing stuff with EXU, with Candela Obscura, like that's already happened. So that's, of course, is going to continue for the next 5 years. And I really think that is more of what they're alluding to when they make comments like this of like, we want to pass the torch. We want to make space for different voices. A lot of people are saying like, okay, Critical Role campaign is going to be different people. No, I think it's more so Candela Obscura, EXU, and even all the Darrington Presses have been releasing so many like TTRPGs and board games. They just announced one, I think yesterday. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's a wide scoped, many pronged empire at this point. And so I think when they talk about these changes and getting new faces in the spotlight, they're talking about all of that and not just the flagship campaign.
Well, and again, this is a PR piece, and every good company in having good leaders is just leadership 101 is going to be talking about the company existing without them. Like every single person, every single good company is saying this. So like me seeing that line in a magazine article doesn't evoke any sense of dread for me, because it's like, yeah, this is literally how you talk whenever you're getting someone says, "Hey, can I get a line on the future of Critical Role?" You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what you say. So, so yeah, I'm not too worried about it, but I do love that they're getting this kind of coverage. I mean, it's amazing. The #1 channel on Twitch. It's amazing how many people I talk to who still don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Especially in the D&D world. So
Yeah. It really is crazy. So, with this, with the TV show, with the multiple TV shows, I mean, that's a whole nother prong of this that, like, clearly they're not checking out anytime soon. They've already
right.
greenlit the Mighty Nine. There's at least a few more seasons of Vox Machina to go. I would be very surprised if they didn't turn Bell's Hells into an animated show. Like, I think
Yeah,
that's almost a certainty unless
which
Mighty
I
Nine
want.
like performs really poorly or something. Um, and we know they in the Amazon deal there was like a first rights to a movie included in that, which my guess is Calamity. I would love that.
I hope so. Yeah.
So yeah, just to assuage anyone's fears, I don't think these people that we all love and adore and probably have parasocial relationships to an extent are going anywhere anytime soon. This is all just normal par for the course, like Blake said. But changes are inevitable, and changes are, of course, ultimately coming. And like we've mentioned, they've already started. So um, I don't think there's anything to be worried about yet. But yeah, just wanted to kind of sit down and talk this out since kind of this whole amalgam of a conversation is something we've been wanting to talk about for a couple months now due to the events of campaign
Right.
3, which again, I figure this video may reach outside of our normal audience a bit. If you're a fan of Critical Role, Blake and I are clearly as well. We do a podcast each and every week discussing the latest episode, diving into it, giving our theories. So check us out if you are feasting or fiending for some more CR content. Yeah, you got anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you guys for supporting the channel, checking us out, and hey, let us know what you think too. And again, if I undervalued any of y'all's opinions on this, or I downplayed how you're feeling, I'm sorry for that. But I can't reinforce enough. I think it's just business as usual. But let us know in the comments what you think, your take on it, your best guess for the future of Critical Role, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and don't worry, whenever like the inevitable day comes where like they are stepping away, we're gonna have like we'll all cry together live stream or
Oh
something.
yeah, I forgot to say this. I mean, if anyone has a reason to be sad, it's Will, because he's been watching since like, what was your first live episode?
It was around I think episode 20 in
Yeah,
campaign 1 when I just randomly found it on Twitch.
yeah. And if you want to know, Will's also the lore master, unofficially in my book.
That's Danny. That's Danny. I'll take assistant though.
Assistant to the lore master. So I think at some point we need to do like a video, like maybe you guys give some like lore questions that you don't see, Will, and we just fire them off to you to see how you score.
It'll be
on it.
embarrassing if I like can't get any of them right.
Yeah. Main villain in campaign 1.
Doty.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it. We gotta work on our outro.
Yeah.
We're like, bye.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, check us out. Critical Role podcast each week. We also cover the Wizard of the Witch and the Wild One, and those are our main 2 things right now. But we do other stuff.
Yeah.
Check us out.
Yeah.
But yeah, our Critical Role episode, for those of you that are wondering where that is, probably be coming sometime soon. But since it's the off week this week, we
Yeah. I just need to watch it. It's 5 hours, so I just need to make some time to watch it. So
yeah. But Candela tonight, for anyone that's watching this in a timely fashion, we will be doing our typical watch along in the Discord. So come hang out if you are going to be watching as well.
yeah.
Alrighty, y'all.